Alrighty, so what we have here today is the new AirPods Pro 3. Apple has completely redesigned these AirPods from the exterior all the way to the interior. There are some significant upgrades over the previous generation Pros 2 that I've been using for the past few years. So in this video today, I'm going to be doing an unboxing and in-depth review on all the features, what I think of it, the good and the bad. But before we continue with this video, make sure to drop a like and a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get started. So first things first, let's do an unboxing and first impressions. Alrighty, so what we have here today is the latest and greatest AirPods Pro 3. I've been a long-time user of the AirPods Pro lineup from the first generation to the second generation, and now we are here with the third generation. So taking a look at the box, it actually looks slightly different. It's a little bit more narrow this way. Overall, just a very simple box. You have a chrome-like finish on the Apple logo and the text, and on top we have a raised, almost 3D-like print of the AirPods itself. So let's just crack this thing open. I'm gonna peel these two tabs here. And then we can just lift the lid. There we go. Designed by Apple in California. So this is all your documentation. We have a couple sheets here. No Apple stickers, very sad. And then we have pretty much a quick start guide of how to set up AirPods and how to change the tips and all that. Then we have the AirPods Pro in the wireless charging case, nicely packaged in a paper. And underneath here, we have your additional ear tips with different sizes and replacements. So let's take a look at the AirPods itself. Peel that off, slide this out. So yeah, in terms of just the casing itself, it looks pretty much identical as the previous generation. I'm gonna grab my second gen AirPods Pro here, very beat up, and just comparing it side to side, it looks pretty much identical. It also has the same strap holes here, if you ever want to put that on there. So the older one was assembled in China, whereas the newer one is assembled in Vietnam. And this has a lot of wear and tear on it. The case is all scratched up and it's starting to yellow actually. It's hard to see on camera, but this is a much brighter white. Interestingly, this actually looks a little bigger. It might be hard to see on camera, but this looks like a bigger case than the old generation 2s here. So this is the AirPods Pro 3 case. This is the AirPods Pro 2. It's a much smaller case. A little bit skinnier, a little bit less wide. Very interesting. So let's crack this thing open. So it should automatically show up, yep, just like that, AirPods Pro, and click connect. I'm not sure if there's any software updates that we need to perform here. Place both AirPods in your ears. So I'm gonna quickly pop them in my ears and get this setup going. Oh wow, I gotta say they feel really different compared to the old ones. And the, holy cow. It's so quiet. The noise cancellation is already active the moment I put them in. So here we go. My AirPods Pro fit comfortably. It's gonna show you all the features, media, call control. You can also do personalized volume, so I'm gonna turn that on. Conversation awareness. When you start speaking, AirPods Pro will lower the media volume and reduce the background noise and enhance the voices in front of you. So that's really, really cool. Control your AirPods by moving your head. So I'm gonna turn that on. Track workout, that's also new with the new AirPods. They have heart rate sensors in the AirPods. Live translation, which is in beta mode still. I'm gonna set that up. I'm gonna select English for now. We could do also a hearing test. So I'm gonna do that later. And we are all set up and ready to go. Now taking a look at the physical form factor, they actually look a little different. I thought they would look the same, like especially the ear tips, they protrude a lot more. So this is the AirPods Pro 3 and AirPods Pro 2. Look at that. Yeah, they are actually completely different. This microphone vent here is at a different location and it's much longer. You do get two portions here, little two dots. I believe this might be the sensor for the heart rate. Obviously the previous generation didn't have that. Yeah, it's a very different shape. You see how this is much more extended and kind of protrudes this way. This is a much more narrow, more closer fit. Now taking a look at the cases itself, there's also differences in here. Obviously to accommodate the different shape here, it's a much more narrow and longer shape, whereas this older one is a little bit more rounded off. And just by feeling the magnet feature, it's actually very strong, whereas the older one, it took little to no effort. It actually feels very loose, as you can see, and hence why if you ever drop these pop out very easily. Whereas for this, as it has a stronger magnet down here, if you were to drop them, the chances of it popping out is very low. So yeah, let's go and test these things out and really see what these are all about. So now that I've been using the AirPods Pro 3 for a few days, I can share my opinions on what I think about them. First of all, the fit and finish. They look completely different from the previous generation, although they share a very similar design. It is slightly larger than the previous generation, not only from the earbuds itself, but also the case. It does also sit much deeper into your ear canal, allowing for more passive noise cancellation. You might either love that or hate it, because I know some people really dislike in-ear earbuds, and these are like super in-ear earbuds, if you will. Now, although they sit much deeper, I personally haven't found any discomfort, as the pressure regulation is much better with the vents. The AirPods Pro 2, however, I actually do get headaches after using it for a couple hours, just because of how tight it fits in there, and I feel like I can't even breathe in my ears. And when it comes to the sound quality, I gotta say it sounds way better than the previous generation. Music just sounds so much more crisp, more heavy in the bass, and much more fuller all around. I'm not sure if Apple actually changed the speakers itself, because I think they're actually the same as the previous generation, but with the redesigned shell, it allows the sound to travel through your ear at a much more efficient rate. The active noise cancellation is significantly better. They rate it at 2 times better than the previous generation. Now, I don't know if it's actually 2 times better, because I can't really measure with my ears, the noise cancellation, but I will say with the newer one, I can definitely tell that it does cancel out noise much better. So for someone who likes to travel a lot, going on planes, or going through very busy cities, this is definitely going to be really handy. The transparency mode also got better. Everything just sounds much more natural, especially if you're having a conversation with someone. And speaking of conversations, there are a couple of new features with this that I really love. First things first is when you're actually having a conversation with someone, it'll automatically lower the volume of your music, and it does it really seamlessly. And I was shocked when this first happened, because I was just listening to my music, walking around the house, and someone said something to me, and it automatically lowered the volume, and I can communicate with them. And it's perfectly clear. I can hear my music in the background, I can hear their voice clearly, and then when I'm done with the conversation and I walk away, the music goes back up, and it was all hands-free. Additionally, you also get live translation, but that is still in beta mode. You do have to actually individually download each language onto your phone first, so then it can actually function. I haven't personally tested that out, but I'm sure it is a pretty seamless function when it does get ready. And that is a software integration, so if you have iOS 26 and you have the AirPods Pro 2, for example, or the AirPods 4 with ANC, you will also get that feature on those AirPods with the live translation. Yet again, an amazing tool to have if you're going to be traveling, talking to people with different languages, or you can even learn a language by doing so. Now, if you're into fitness, these new AirPods Pro 3 also get a heart rate monitor. And that is amazing, because now as you're working out, you don't have to get yourself an Apple Watch. You can track your workouts, you can track your heart rate during the workout, and you also have Workout Buddy, which is kind of like this Siri-like voice that's gonna kind of pep you up and give you some motivational words, if you will, and compliment you during your workout. I find it to be a little bit corny, but it is there if you want to have like a personal trainer, like AI version. Some additional improvements is the IP57 rating, which is dust and water resistant, significantly better than the previous generations. So you can actually fully submerge these underwater. So if you drop it in the toilet, drop it in a pool, they will be totally fine. The precision finding got much better with a longer range, and you also get longer battery life. All in all, a pretty solid improvement over the previous generation, no complaints whatsoever. And the craziest part is it still costs only $249, which is the retail price of their previous generation. Even if you have a pretty modern AirPods Pro 2, jumping to the 3rd generation is still a pretty big jump. The same can't be said with a lot of other Apple products, I gotta admit. Sometimes when you're jumping from one generation to the next, when it comes to iPhones, it's kind of not worth it sometimes, just because it's so similar. But the AirPods Pro 2 to the AirPods Pro 3 is a big jump. The only person that I would not recommend these two is if you are someone who really dislikes in-ear earbuds, because this really feels super in-ear, if you will. But if you like the performance, if you are a pro user and you want the best sound quality and the most features, this is the way to go, the AirPods Pro 3. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to drop a like and a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.